Theresa Scully here, talking to you about the proper way to walk. Now, I know everybody is out and about more. I see it in my neighborhood. They are outside with their dogs, outside just walking because it has been beautiful weather out here in sunny St. John's, Florida. And it's like what you do when you are kind of forced to stay inside all the time. You want to get out, get some fresh air, get some vitamin D from the sun, and move your bodies, which I think is an excellent idea. I think, movement and exercise is the medicine for a strong immune system. But if you're not one that walks much and you're just taking it up again, or perhaps you're walking more than you normally do, it's important to make sure that you engage the core in a way that's going to allow you to exercise the abdominals at the same time, but also align your spine in a way that you're not putting too much stress on your knees, your hips, and your spine, shoulders, and ankles, and whatever else wants to become your thing in the world of bodies. Bodies just have things, but we can work through them by being intelligent movers and prevent more wearing down than what we really want. So what I would say, and this is a difficult thing to kind of produce, but you start off walking this way, maybe the first 5 minutes or so. Then you kind of get into your groove and you're walking and you're listening to the birds and you're saying hi to neighbors, and maybe you're pulling on your dog because your dog's not going the direction you want to go on. And then you pause another 10 minutes later and you refresh your mind and you're like, okay, I'm going to try to walk properly again. And the more and more you do this, the more and more you'll get used to it, and the more and more automatic it will feel. Because in the beginning of it, it's going to feel kind of like a robot. But that's definitely not the goal, because that also really isn't allowing your body and your fascia to flow smoothly if you are walking like a robot. We can train our bodies to do absolutely anything we want. So like when we're playing sports and golf and tennis and whatever else there might be out there for hobbies to do using our bodies. So we can train ourselves how to walk properly, especially when we're using that walking device as a fitness routine. So one of the things you want to do is just make sure that you're feeling your weight even through your feet. Okay, you want to fall into your arches, because when you fall into your arches, if you look at my front foot here, I'm gonna create more of a flat foot. And I naturally kind of have a flexible arch. My foot does flatten out, but I can control that by where I place the weight, starting from my hip down to the outside of the leg and to the heel. If I put all my weight forward and into the knee and hip, I'm going to cave in, okay? But if I place my heel down and feel a little bit more weight on the outside edge of that heel, I'll be able to engage the ground, keep my knee outside of midline, in line with my armpit, and be able to transfer weight through the center of my body, and then do the same thing with the front leg, and then transfer the weight into the big toe and second toe ball joint and press off, okay? So that's the first thing, is just to think about what your foot is doing when it hits the ground. It's the first thing. So again, you want to just imagine your weight coming forward onto that heel, onto the outside edge of the heel, okay? Mildly, not enough to do a turnout, okay, or turn in, I guess I should say, but on the outside of that heel, and then feel that outside of the leg fire up. Then we're going to draw the belly in as we bear weight on top of that leg, and this back leg is flexing from the hip. All right, we want to make sure that that back leg isn't coming up into this position, okay, or that back leg isn't spinning out to the side, okay. I actually do that with my left leg. I'm always forever trying to perfect that, the movement of hip flexion when I'm walking. This is my bad old ACL injury knee. So I'm always forever trying to focus on proper mechanics for that leg. So here we go. We go forward, and then we weight bear into, like, kind of onto the outside edge of the foot and then into the big toe. And then this leg comes up and hinges at the hip, and it lands down on the outside of the foot. And then we're going to kind of I guess you would say roll into the outside of the edge into the big toe and ball joint, and then same thing with this other leg, he comes up into hip flexion. Now when you walk like that, what you're going to end up doing is create more work for your legs, work that they're not normally used to, because, you know, kind of regular walking is you just kind of fall into your body and just walk. You know, maybe you're a bebopper, or, you know, you have that, you know, little drag when you're walking, and you're not using leg muscles efficiently. So when you line everything right and you work the muscles in the proper way, you're going to actually make these muscles work harder. It's not uncommon to have a little bit of soreness on the outside of your legs when you're walking properly. That is a good thing. Okay, it's okay to feel these muscles also fire up and work. You're not going to get IT band tendonitis because these muscles are supposed to do that. And truly what you're feeling, if you are creating that proper heel strike to big toe movement, is you're actually probably feeling an activation of your lateral outside line of your body. And we want that activation to happen. It's going to control the opposite side pelvis. We want this side to be able to activate when this leg comes forward, to control this side pelvis so that you can create that hip hike in this leg, okay? So that's normal, right? We definitely don't want to feel any knee falling in movements. That's going to create a lot of pressure here. So from the front, and I'm not the best walker in the world, but I try my best, I'm going to feel my tailbone point down so that I'm not arching like so. I want the tail to point down, okay? Which doesn't come from the glutes. It comes from the abdominals as they insert on the pubic bone up to the lower ribs, and quite frankly to the diaphragm as well. We want to feel that tailbone down. And then we take our first step and we squeeze our stomach in, and we just try to keep the pelvis steady, okay? Try to keep that pelvis steady when you're walking. You can also liken it to the fact that that back foot is pushing down onto a cigarette butt, trying to smush that cigarette down. Now, I don't condone smoking, but I think we can kind of figure out in our heads that pressing down, because we don't want to start a fire. So here we go, just like so. And when you take that walk, ladies and gentlemen, you want to make sure that you have strength in those abdominals, and you let your hips sway naturally, okay? And you keep this strong. A natural sway that's just enough to transfer that weight to the heels and to the big toe. And you need that arm swing, okay? Squeezing belly in the entire time. The other thing I want you to think about, guys, is try not to oversway, which is cute when you're walking into the restaurant going on your date, but that shears your low back. Okay, my hips don't naturally sway as much when I'm walking. Some do, more than mine, but as long as you've got that proper activation from heel to knee to hip, the hips will naturally go where they're supposed to go. So just ultimately keep those abdominals engaged, make sure we're hip hinging, make sure that we are taking the heel strike on more of the outside of the foot, and that we're transferring our weight to the center line of our body, pushing off with our big toe like we're pushing down into a cigarette butt and coming forward. So that's a lot of information, I know. I would say you guys should look at this video over and over again and video yourself walking. And you may see one side looks a little different than the other, and your eyes and your mind, they'll tell you the right way. You'll see the side that just looks better, because movement is very symmetrical and flowy and beautiful and graceful. So when you see good, graceful, flowing movement, you know that that is probably the side that's working better. And as you know your bodies well, you know you have the side of problem, and you'll notice possibly that side of problem is the side that doesn't work well. When we talk about fascial diagonal lines of issues, might be a little different, but without trying to go into major detail there, the idea is just to make sure everything looks symmetrical. Make sure that knee doesn't kick out when you're walking, or the heel or the foot. Try to keep your arches lifted by just engaging into the outside edge of that heel when you step down, rolling to the side of the foot and then pushing off onto big toe and second ball joint. When that leg is behind you, the same thing. You're going to push off of that second ball toe and first ball toe joint, and you're going to hip hinge. So as you take your walks today, find the thing you want to work on today. Try not to work on all of it. It'll probably kind of befuddle you to try to get it all done properly. Start today just with the outside edge heel strike. rolling onto the side of the foot and onto the big toe. And then tomorrow, try the hip hinge, okay? And then the day after that, make sure your knee's pointing forward. And always, through every single time you take your walk, squeeze that core. Enjoy the beautiful weather, enjoy your walks, enjoy your family, and I'm so glad to be able to connect with you today. Thanks for watching.